10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Manchester
1,
United have
0.
reached the promised land.
Yes, everybody. Manchester United will reach the promised land at some point in probably the distant future. But we're here to talk about Erik Ten Hag. Of course we are. Until we get a new manager, the only major talking point around Manchester United is going to be about our new manager. We're going to be speaking about Ten Hag. We're going to be speaking about Poch. Genuinely, there's a lot of talking points this morning from lots of different angles, all about Poch, all about Enrique, all about Ten Hag. We're going to talk about Antony from Ajax as well. I did say I wasn't really going to touch too much on the signings that could happen when we've got a manager, but something came up yesterday from James Ducker in the Telegraph, so I'm going to be speaking about that. We're speaking about Louis van Gaal's comments on Ten Hag yesterday. I'm sure you saw those, and Louis van Gaal saying that Erik Ten Hag should not be joining a commercial club. No word of a lie from Louis van Gaal, really, but we'll run through those. We're speaking about Fabrizio Romano's latest on this situation, the idea that we might be giving new contracts to Marcus Rashford and Luke Shaw, we don't have a manager. Hell, as I said, there's a lot of talking points this morning. Who's down here? Ben Winton, good morning to you in the comments. Paul Bridgette, John Neild, Lee Davies. We've got David watching from Thailand on Facebook. Good morning to you. Jeff on YouTube, Kevin Owens, Carl Baldwin, Aaron. What members we've got down here? Shushant, Josh, Anuj, and Yash, Chris, Lou. I'm sure there's going to be some I missed. I apologize. Hey, look, how you all doing? I'm feeling chipper this morning. And Gungshi and Orr, good morning to you. Hey, Josh, that's what I'm saying. We all know that Louis van Gaal's got a point. I mean, as I said, there was no word of a lie that he said in the idea that Manchester United are a commercial club. And I will run through all those comments. But hey, look, this is going to be, I don't know what it feels like now. Like a war of attrition is the wrong way to describe it. But after we spoke about this yesterday, right? After the Ten Hag interview last week, we were all sitting there rubbing our hands together. Sorry, T, I can see you down there as well. Don't be too offended there, mate. And who else we got there? Andy Parker. But look, I apologize if I miss names. There's too many names that fire in. But keep leaving your comments throughout the entire stream. You know what I do. I genuinely try and interact as much as possible. And if I do ignore you, it's not on purpose. Just don't take offense. But I'm keeping that sweet Dutch energy on the wall because I feel like we need some. Obviously, Ten Hag was interviewed last week. And the big word throughout all of this whole thing has been process, hasn't it? The idea that Manchester United finally are kind of operating like a football club. The Manchester United are actually doing some due diligence. It's kind of what we should have done before. But after Ten Hag was interviewed, I think it's because he's a popular opinion, right? If it was Poch who was interviewed last Monday, there wouldn't be a big clamour for Poch to get the job in the same way, if you know what I mean. Because look, I tend to agree with Samuel Luckhurst here when he says this. He goes, I would be surprised if Erik Ten Hag wasn't the next Manchester United manager. The Dutchman is the club's favourite choice. And in my opinion, I would genuinely be surprised if at the end of this, we don't have a new bald Dutch manager. That's what my gut instinct is telling me. But also, the fact that Manchester United is a football club I support means that there will always be an element of pessimism. There's always going to be an element of me who goes, hold your horses, Sam. Don't jump too early. And I'm not. I'm really, really not. But I kind of tend to agree with Samuel Luckhurst's opinion there that it would be almost a surprise. Because it's not like, as I've said, we've done this before. We've done pros and cons here live in an interactive video. I've done loads of videos on Poch and Ten Hag. There's pros to both. But Ten Hag is like the clear and obvious first choice as far as I'm concerned. Anthony down there in the comments, I can see it's your birthday, my friend. 39. You are old as hell. I'm joking. You're not 40 yet. Then you're old as hell. But happy birthday to you, my friend. Thank you very much for joining in on your birthday. Hope you're going to have some Tuesday drinks. You'll have some Tuesday drinks. It's birthday time. Got Dwight watching from Trinidad. Good morning to you. Andy Parker saying it sounds like Enrique's on the shortlist. We know Enrique's on the shortlist, Andy. There was 4 names on the shortlist. It's always been 4 names. It's been Ten Hag, it's been Poch, it's been Enrique, and it's been Lopetegui. As far as we know, nothing really has happened with Lopetegui, though. But going back to Poch, I said this last week, and some people came at me straight away and were like, Sam, what are you talking about? There's no way that PSG are going to let Poch be interviewed. Well, reports coming out from France yesterday that has indeed taken place, saying that Manchester United and Pochettino have held those chats. And I've spoken about this like 2 or 3 times now, eh? It works out perfectly for PSG if Manchester United take Poch. They're going to have to pay him, if they sack him in the summer, they have to pay him between like 15 and 20 million in compensation. If they don't have to sack him, they don't have to pay that. They're going to be laying out the red carpet. They're going to be giving Manchester United Pochettino's private number for WhatsApp messages. They're going to be doing edits of Pochettino in a United manager's jersey and sending it to fucking Richard Arnold. They're going to do everything in their power to try and make sure Poch comes to United. So the idea that they wouldn't allow meetings to take place was a bit misguided, in my opinion. But as far as we know now, Ten Hag's had his interview. That's all done and dusted. Now, reports coming out that Poch has had that interview. And do you remember what happened? Of course you do. It was only last week. After Ten Hag had that interview, like all the journalists, from Simon Stone, from James Ducker, Dharma Sheth at Sky, all the main journalists were all reporting the same thing. Ten Hag really, really impressed during his interview. Let's see what happens in the next 24 hours, when it comes to Poch. Are we going to be seeing and hearing similar stories that Pochettino's philosophy didn't really have philosophy as such? I've kind of explained that in my video I did on both of their philosophies. Pochettino, did he really impress by comparison? X, Y, Z. Let's see what goes in. What goes on? But after the Ten Hag interview, everybody was gushing over Ten Hag. Let's see if everyone's gushing over Poch. Klein, good morning to you. How you doing there? Viking football is an opinion I absolutely agree with. Enrique won't leave Spain before the World Cup. And look, what's better than going straight to the man himself? Luis Enrique saying, I will be in Qatar with Spain because I've given my word, and there is nothing that makes me more excited than representing my country in the World Cup. Later, we'll see. Enrique should never have been on our shortlist. Period. I've never understood it. I understand on paper that Enrique is a top-class manager with Champions League winning experience, managing the biggest players at one of Europe's super clubs. So on paper, the CV, it more than matches up with, in fact, it beats Ten Hag's and it beats Poch's. But timing is everything in football. I've said this to you before. It's why Ten Hag right now makes perfect sense. Klein, you might be right down there saying next Madrid manager. It depends whether or not Ancelotti gets the boot this year. But Enrique, I've never ever put him down on an actual. I mean, he might have realistically been on a short list of managers who were linked with the job, but I never in a million years thought that Enrique was going to be going anywhere near United. Take off, you're saying Enrique won 9 trophies in 3 years. He's a top-level manager. He managed elite, top-level footballers at one of Europe's super clubs and won the biggest trophies. Enrique's proven. But the timing's not right. Because of the World Cup, he was never coming to Manchester United. End of story. And I think we all knew that straight away. The logic dictates that Enrique was coming nowhere near United. And lo and behold, that's the story that's coming out now. But the story coming out from Fabrizio after his interview yesterday with United Stand, he said that Erik Ten Hag wants an answer from Manchester United as soon as possible. And why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he, man? He's had that interview. He's impressed. He knows he's a prime candidate. What are you waiting for, United? I think United are, at this point, it feels like United are loyal to the process. Even if after that interview with Ten Hag, Murto came out of that meeting, he's like, oh, shit, man, that was impressive. Fletcher was like, yeah, that was impressive too. Like everybody who was involved in that were like, yeah, that was an impressive interview. It feels like they're sticking loyal to the idea of this process because they don't. I think they fear the backlash potentially. I think there's a little bit of fear involved in it. Manchester United, the powers that be that are making this decision, fear a backlash if they get the decision wrong. And by interviewing everybody and giving everybody a fair chance, they sort of eliminate a little bit of that responsibility, if you know what I mean. Even if on paper, after that interview, they're like, no one's really going to be beating that. Now, Gary, this is kind of like where we all sort of sit at the moment. You're saying, what good is the process if you miss out on the preferred candidate? That's the fear that we've all got now. That's the fear of what this waiting is going to do and what this waiting might cause. Because you know full well that Manchester United were the first to properly interview Ten Hag, but also that 2 other European clubs have registered interest since. Now, I'll tell you one thing about that. We keep hearing this story. I've heard it from loads of sources. I think Fabrizio said it as loads of reputable journalists have all said that 2 more European clubs, I think it's one German and one English, have come after Ten Hag since United have interviewed him. But nobody's mentioning names. Nobody has any confidence that it's like Bayern Munich or Borussia Dortmund or Leicester or Spurs or anything. There's no names associated with it, which I find a little bit odd and a little bit strange. If you're going to be putting pressure on Manchester United, then you pull the names out, wouldn't you? So I find that bit a little bit odd. But I'll tell you one thing: what odd isn't the way I would use to describe this next bit now. In fact, I say it's the opposite of odd. I say it's completely and utterly true what Louis van Gaal said. But Van Gaal has warned Ten Hag not to come to Manchester United. Really good, really probably the best comment of the year down there from CNC saying, everybody liked the live video. Come on in, everyone. Drop a like on the video. Honestly, I don't know why. I don't know why there's hardly any likes on the videos, on the live videos. Or in general on United People's TV. Even if a video does really well, the like ratio is really, really low compared to other channels. I don't know why. Maybe people don't like the content. Ian, not sure whether you're talking to me about that. You said well, you would do something on Tuchel. I did something on Tuchel, and I felt obliged to do it at that moment in time. I even said it in the video. I was like, not really sure why I'm doing this video, but let's have a conversation about Tuchel. Lo and behold, he's staying at Chelsea and he's not going anywhere. Who possibly saw that coming? And it's the same with Luis Enrique in Spain. So it's all about chasing people at the right time. And that's why it's Ten Hag or Poch. Both of them make perfect sense timing-wise for Manchester United. Aidan, you're saying it could be Newcastle down there with Ten Hag. Newcastle came after Ten Hag. I think it was about 6 months ago-ish. Obviously, they weren't going to bring him in for a relegation scrap. But they will be after him again soon. I don't think this year, maybe Eddie Howe for another year. John, you're saying, Sam, United have to be respectful of the candidates in this process. I'm sure that if Ten Hag is the right choice, then it will happen soon enough. Hey, John, look, I hope you're right there, man. And I hope this is nothing more than a diligent process that United are going through. But it just it opens up that door of opportunity that could be closed if United moves swiftly with Ten Hag. Because if we're being honest, like percentage-wise, it must be like 80-20 towards Ten Hag. There is, of course, a possibility that it's going to be Poch. But it will come as a surprise now to pretty much everybody. Aaron, nice to see you there rejoining as a member, my friend. How you doing, buddy? Big up to you. Manos is saying, Sam, if Enrique was available, would you still go for Ten Hag? That's a hypothetical question I don't have to answer. And I don't think we should really think about it because Enrique is not available. And because on paper, geez, Enrique really is that man, isn't he? Champions League winner, two La Liga titles, I think, in a row with Barcelona. He's managed a super club at a top level, modern coach. You can see exactly where he would fit in at Manchester United. But Ten Hag, man, I've explained this before in quite a lot of detail. No doubt I will do it in some more videos too, but just Ten Hag is part of that new crop, that new generation of managers that for the next 10, 15, 20 years, they're going to be the people that everybody talks about. And we've got an opportunity to get arguably the most exciting one. That is something that Manchester United should be doing ASAP Rocky. But look, it won't happen if Louis van Gaal's message of advice goes anywhere near Ten Hag. He said, Louis van Gaal warns Erik Ten Hag away from Manchester United. And let's see what Louis van Gaal had to say here. These are the quotes themselves. He said, Erik Ten Hag is a great manager. And that's always good for Manchester United. But Manchester United is a commercial club. So it's a difficult choice for a coach. Ten Hag will be better off going to a football club. I'm not going to advise him. He'll call me himself. We have conversations with each other, but he should choose a football club and not a commercial club. Now, what's your opinion on that? Because I think my opinion on, well, I'm pretty sure you know my opinion straight away. There is not one word of a lie that Louis van Gaal has said there in terms of what Manchester United are as a football club. We are a commercial club first. I mean, the symbolic removal of football club from the badge, what was that, back in the 90s when that happened? It's just been getting worse and worse and worse. And then since 2005, it's just been a freefall. We are a commercial club. And Louis van Gaal, the thing I would say about this advice from Louis van Gaal, right? Number one, it's true, it's correct, and there's not really any word of a lie there. But what I would say, number two, is things are a little bit different at Manchester United now than they were when Louis van Gaal was sacked. Louis van Gaal was sacked by Ed Woodward. It was Van Gaal's probably like unfairly bitterness towards Manchester United exists because of Ed Woodward, more so than because of Manchester United. The way that Woodward sort of went behind his back, sacked him after the FA Cup final, despite United winning and despite only a few weeks earlier telling Van Gaal that his job was safe. Man, it was a twisted way for it to end. No United fan really enjoyed it, and we all felt sympathy for Van Gaal and how it was not dealt with properly by Manchester United in any way, shape, or form, and not by Ed Woodward. But Ed Woodward's gone now. Manchester United do have a new CEO. Manchester United do have John Murtough in as a technical director, as a football director of football. Fletcher in as a technical director. I don't know what Fletcher does. I still don't know what Fletcher does. But I like to think that things are a little bit different at Manchester United now compared to what they were when Louis van Gaal was sacked back in 2014. It's probably as bad as it got then, wasn't it? Because that was when Ed Woodward was in control of the signings. We signed Di Maria. Mate, Di Maria was the most Louis van Gaal signing in the world. Somebody who was built on trickery, deft footwork, skipping past players, and doing things on instinct. It's kind of the opposite of what Louis van Gaal did as a manager. He liked to increase his odds. Take a touch before you take a shot. Take a touch before you make a pass. It's the opposite of what Di Maria was, right? And the amount of other signings we made, Jesus. That was when we just went crazy. Herrera, Memphis, Schneidlin, Schweinsteiger, Blind. Jeez, Falcao, the list can go on there. That was as bad as it got. So I understand Van Gaal's bitterness. Let me see what you're saying down here in the comments about this, though. It is possible to be both a commercial entity and a football club, but the Glazers need to be willing to let football people run the football side, says Ant, and stick to the commercial side. Control, as Ragnick says. We know that. And Van Gaal said that back in when he was manager back in like 2014. He's like, look, I understand the commercial side of things, but at the same time, the right-hand man has to be a football person. And that was the thing that Manchester United never got right. They never gave Ed Woodward the right-hand man that he needed. They let him be his own right-hand man. And that much autonomy and power is what sucked United into this spiral that we're still free-falling from. But things have changed a little bit, in my opinion anyway. Let me go down here. Fletcher's main job is to make sure that all the club's iPads are updated. It's probably that. Him and Lee Grant cooking sausages and mash for lunch. Unfortunately, if he goes to a big club, most clubs are commercial clubs. Yes, Antony, but if you're looking, I mean, we could run through the list, couldn't we? You could look at Bayern Munich and say they're a commercial powerhouse, but they're run by like the likes of Oliver Kahn, Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, and the people who are in power are football men with relations to the club. Real Madrid, it's a little bit different. You've got an elected. It's different with Real Madrid and Barcelona with elected presidents and the whole structure. I have no idea what the structures are those, but if we're looking at how clubs should be run, we probably shouldn't be looking towards Barcelona or Real Madrid, who were so severely in debt that they desperately wanted the Super League. So maybe those two are bad comparisons. City, tons of football men. Apparently, the most revenue in last year. Shame 70% of those companies are owned by the same people who own Man City. Not suspicious at all. Say nothing. But United have always had that commercial power. We've stagnated in the last 5 years hugely. Hugely. I don't know why I've not really done a video on this. Like, everyone's like, oh, the Glazers are commercial powerhouses. Look at Manchester United and the revenues we've got. We've stagnated hugely in the last 5 years. Football, our results on the pitch won't affect our commercial ability off the pitch. Bullshit. Calling bullshit on that one absolutely is affecting it. I don't personally think that Van Gaal's comments were dangerous in any way. I think they were completely fair for him to say. He was asked a question. He was probably asked about Ten Hag and Manchester United, and he gave his own honest opinion. Van Gaal was always an honest man. Sometimes that got him into trouble, but he was always enjoyable to listen to. I don't think Ten Hag is going to be influenced too much by what Louis Van Gaal has to say. I think Ten Hag will be his own man, just when I did the philosophy of Ten Hag. He made it clear. He goes, you can talk about Cruyff, you can talk about people who have influenced him, but he's like, I'm going to be my own. I'm going to be me. I'm going to be the first version of Erik Ten Hag and the only version of Erik Ten Hag. He's going to walk his own path. He's going to make his own choices. No doubt, he will listen to others. But in the same way that he said that you need to maintain control in the dressing room, and although you can be influenced outside the dressing room by people telling you what you should be doing as Ajax manager, ultimately, it's down to what I want to do. And that's why I think I'm not too fussed about what Van Gaal had to say. I don't think it's going to really influence him too much. And let's be honest, Van Gaal was completely and utterly spot on. Absolutely spot on. I'm not going to argue against that. Ben, you're saying, morning, Sam. People talk about the United way, but how will Ten Hag influence an identity for the club? Now, Ben, apparently this is the single thing we talk about how or why Ten Hag impressed during that interview. It was that identity that he really, really pushed towards. Because if we speak about Man United from 2013 through to 2022, we've had Moyes, we've had Van Gaal, we've had Mourinho, we've had Solskjaer, now we've got Rangnick. And none of them have ever really, truly had a football identity. Out of any of them, Van Gaal had the identity. But the identity was like pulling teeth. And that identity just did not work with Manchester United at all. It was too jarring. But he's the only one who ever had a true identity. Like, you could watch that team, and it was shit, of course. You'd be like, that's a Van Gaal team. I can see how they're playing. With Mourinho, it chopped and changed. With Solskjaer, it chopped and changed. With Moyes, it was, well, I suppose you can identify that. It was just rabbit in headlights. Rabbit in headlights? Deer in headlights. Anyway, he was in headlights. And Solskjaer, technically 4-2-3-1 was that's not really an identity, is it? It's a formation. That's what Ten Hag would bring to Manchester United. Certainly, I would say ahead of Pochettino as well. There's a style of Pochettino, but not necessarily an identity. With Pochettino, especially when he's out of possession, that's when the team comes together, sort of thing. But we've all watched PSG. Is there really a massive identity there? I don't think there has been. Spurs, as I said, Spurs have more of a style than an identity. Ten Hag and Ajax, they have a clear identity. And I would say half of that comes from the club. Ajax have such an identity that it will be sacrilege for any manager to come in and not play the Ajax style of football. Like what Cruyff did there and what Cruyff built in Ajax is so embedded into the veins of the club that it won't ever leave. It won't ever leave. Fergie instilled a mentality of United, and that's what the United way was. Because Fergie, he was loyal to the 4-4-2, but then he knew that football was changing and modernising, brought Carlos Queiroz in, and we switched to a 4-3-3. We won the double off the back of it. So it's Manchester United's identity and the United way is more about a mentality than an actual style of football. Whereas Ten Hag, that's where it's different. That's where it's a bit different. And people in the comments saying our identity was similar to the Ajax identity. 4-4-2 wasn't. The typical wingers, traditional width, two powerhouse central midfielders, two strikers. That's what we did. Get the crosses in, get your heads on the end of it. A little bit old school in the mentality of the style of football, and that's why we had to change to the 4-3-3. And then the 4-3-3 was completely Well. That was a fun little power surge. Jesus fucking Christ. Piss off and start working. What is going on? My God. OG background. Yeah, everybody knows the OG background. Sorry, ladies and gents. What? 1, 2, 3. Is that? What is piss off? Oh. Nothing annoys me more than I think I've said this to you before, haven't I? When technology doesn't work, it makes me angry. 1, 2. Why is that not showing up there? I think we're working. We're good. We're good. Okay, we're good. Panic over. That was a weird surge. That's never happened before. Maybe I'll buy a new computer. There was a super chat that got fired in there. I don't want to miss that. 1 second. Where's it gone? Lou, what did you say, sir? Ten Hag should be given time and funds to build this team into what he deems is the best way to bring them forward. Been stuck in this loop too long. Well, that was a weird loop that we were just stuck in there as well. You're right there. But look, hey, geez, we're back. We're on. The electricity has been paid. I put another £2 in. We'll be good for the next 20 minutes. But all my windows that I had open for all my talking points, they've all completely disappeared. So let me try and get a couple of them back up. Anybody keep firing your opinions, firing your questions that you want me to answer. We've still got plenty of time left on the stream here. As long as my computer decides not to die again. That was a weird power surge. Hate when that sort of stuff happens. But, there's nothing you can do about it. That's what happens when you're live. When you're live, things can go wrong. Fred, what are you saying here, sir? You're saying, Sam, who of the candidates being considered would the other managers fear coming to United the most? And that is a for me, it's a major. I've said this about quite a lot of our signings, from Maguire to Wan-Bissaka. There's probably the two standout ones. That's 130 million that Manchester United made on signings, and is any team going to be scared of either of those signings? Probably not. What manager is going to scare people? It's obvious. It's Ten Hag. Everybody knows Poch, and the mystery of Ten Hag is definitely going to be a reason why he gets a bit of support that maybe Poch wouldn't, right? And whether you think that's fair or not is completely your opinion. But when you don't know something and it's got a bit of mystery to it, that added element of question mark, and because that question mark could skyrocket into huge potential. It's a bit like when you sign a younger player and that potential that comes in, and all of a sudden they explode into that, like watching Ronaldo. Ronaldo had that sort of unknown, mysterious entity. You knew he had talent and quality, but could he do it at Manchester United? Hell yeah, he could do it at Manchester United, and he went flying. Ten Hag's got a bit of that about him, which helps him. I would say it helps him, but I wouldn't say it's the most important thing, but it's certainly part of it. I'll tell you what, I knew. Yeah, I was going to bring this up later as a talking point, but I'll bring this up now because I can't find. I spend, honestly, just to let you in, ladies and gents, I spend about, 45 minutes ish preparing. No, about an hour actually preparing for every live stream every morning. Had all my windows open with all the talking points ready to go through, and then the power surge happened, and all my windows are closed. That's a bit annoying. Wazza saying, Sam, do you honestly think the Poch interview is going to be as good as Ten Hag? Or Wazza, this is what I said at the start of the stream. I said, look, if Poch's interview was that good, we'll hear about it. In the 24 hours after Ten Hag's interview, every single major journalist linked with Manchester United was waxing lyrical about him, gushing about Ten Hag and how impressive he was and all the positives about the interview. Let's find out in the next 24 hours whether those same journalists say the same thing about Poch. Did he impress that much? Has he impressed that much? We'll find out, I suppose. But one man who could be manager for Manchester United in the future, man, maybe not this one, but look, the new editor that we've got working on the Instagram page is fire at making some graphics. And look at this bad boy. Woo-wee! After his comments yesterday, what do you reckon? Wayne Rooney as Manchester United manager in 2030? Look at that. I mean, he won't look like that in 2030. That's for sure. But what do you think? The idea of Wayne Rooney being Manchester United manager in the future. Antony saying, do United only ever interview on a Monday? That's a good point. So that means we're going to have to wait another 2 weeks for the other two people to be interviewed. But look at that. Look at that graphic. That put a smile on your face. That Rooney interview put a smile on my face yesterday. I'm strongly considering doing a video reaction to the interview, going through each thing he said, because there was a lot of explosive comments, but a lot of them were so fair and spot on. And just Rooney's nature is to be an explosive person. That was what made him such a good player, right? And he's kind of the same as a manager. Let's go down here. Everyone here, you're loving it. Oh, no, Kennedy, you're not loving it. Let's go down here. Love it, Wazza, but no thanks. Bring only the best in class. Hey, look, we're talking, as I said, look, the time up there, I've got 2030 written out there. 8 years' time. We don't know what he's going to be in 8 years' time. Jeez, he might not look like that, I'll tell you that. He will have the experience needed, but look, we'd all enjoy the idea of Rooney in the future, I think. MHD, what are you saying? Sam, do you think Rooney's interest is quite exciting news? What would be the change with him? Nobody's talking about Rooney at the moment. Let's not be foolish. I'm not here saying that Rooney should come in now and we can go to another ex-player. We tried the experiment with Solskjaer. It worked to a certain degree, and then it spectacularly failed to another degree. So let's not be talking about the idea of that happening anymore, because I don't think we should really. That was another talking point I was going to do. Let me see if I can get this. There we go. This staggered me when I saw this and the idea of it, because it's very Manchester United to do such a stupid thing like this. God, I hate it when this happens. Bloody annoying. Anyway, we're back on here. We're back on and we're live. That's 2 times I've had power cut on this computer. Maybe I do need to get a new computer. But look, Manchester United are planning Marcus Rashford and Luke Shaw contract talks. We go down here. It said Rashford and Shaw are considered part of a key group of core players that United want to keep at Old Trafford, and they are keen to push ahead with negotiations despite uncertainty over the identity of the club's next permanent manager. So Manchester United there are willing to have conversations with Rashford and Luke Shaw over new contracts, despite the fact that we do not have a full-time manager in place. That reeks. That screams of a big problem at Manchester United, a major problem at Manchester United. I would disagree with this comment here from Carl in saying Rashford is done, time to cash in. I don't think that's not what I'm suggesting. But I'm definitely suggesting that the idea that Man United are going to be discussing and negotiating new contracts for Luke Shaw and Marcus Rashford, and they'll both be huge contracts, without a new manager, that's ridiculous. That's undermining a manager before the manager's even come in place. And that's part of an old mentality that Manchester United had because of Ed Woodward. Manchester United had this mentality of, right, we've got to make sure that we keep all of our players on long contracts because it protects their value as an asset. It means that we can sell that player for more money when we want to sell it. Whereas in reality, all that's done for Manchester United, Marcus Rojo was the craziest example, wasn't it? How Marcus Rojo got that new contract, I'll have no idea. But it's just a wrong thought process. Instead of protecting the values of players and giving Manchester United more opportunity to sell them, United were just stuck in a situation where we had a ton of players that we could never get rid of. That's what happened with these big contracts. And that's what will happen again if Manchester United just hand out contracts willy-nilly. Nothing, all these negotiations should be on pause until our new manager comes in. Until Ten Hag or Poch or Enrique or Lopetegui, but it's Ten Hag or Poch, and I think it's Ten Hag. Until that's done and dusted, any idea of contract negotiations, no. Because who's doing that? Who's going to do those negotiations anyway? It's going to be like John Murtough or Darren Fletcher. It's almost like they're a bit damn busy at the moment. And Darren Fletcher, I still have no idea what a Darren Fletcher does. Even Ralph Radnick said, genuinely, I don't particularly know what Darren Fletcher does. And if the manager says that, ridiculous. Although saying that, I'm going to be a massive hypocrite to myself here. I'm fine with the Bruno contract extension because Bruno, there's different strokes for different folks. And Bruno Fernandes and the idea that he's going to be renewed, in my opinion, that doesn't really matter what manager comes in. Bruno Fernandes is going to be part of that. He's that good a player. Whereas we got Rashford and Shaw, who are both, in my opinion, now on the fringes. question marks, I wouldn't be handing out contracts to players like that anyway. Carl, I say, why is it different for Bruno's contract? As I said, because of the quality of the player that Bruno Fernandes is. The quality of the player that Bruno Fernandes has been for Manchester United. I know that there are... The Bruno Fernandes conversation, it gets kind of weird, I think. Like, people love to slate him. People love to... Oh, he loses possession so much. So does Kevin De Bruyne. So does Alexander Trent. So does Trent Alexander-Arnold. Does it make them bad players? No. Does it make them riskier players? Yes. Now, Bruno Fernandes has got some maturity to do in his game. And I've said this all along. Especially with his emotions. Emotions can always be a benefit to a game. Rooney is the best example of that. But they can be a negative to your game as well. And Bruno Fernandes, unfortunately, too often in the last 2 to 3 months, his emotions have got the better of him. And it's become a bit of a hindrance when he starts just launching Hail Mary passes without really thinking about it. It's not, you don't always have to take the risky pass. He's got the ability and the quality to make it happen. But Bruno Fernandes has to improve his overall game management, just like every other one of those players do. But geez, if you really think that I'm going to be slamming Bruno Fernandes, there are so many more players I'm putting on that chopping block before him. So many. And I don't know what it is. What is it, like an entitlement? You expect, the fans just expect perfection constantly. And if you don't get perfection constantly, you're gonna get slated. Or is it just United fans of Bruno? Let me know what you think about that. Comment here from Ninja. Thank you very much for the super chat, buddy. What are you saying, sir? So new contracts incoming and will be classed as new signings. This board will never allow a full manager. A new manager. This club will never allow a manager full control. And that falls under the board. Time for the players to step up and earn an extension. Hey, man. Yeah, well, you're preaching to the choir there. There's absolutely no way I would be talking about a new contract for Rashford. Absolutely no way are we talking about a new contract with Shaw. Not at the moment. And if we are, we're talking about reduced terms. Look at your form. Look at how poor you've been. I would talk about reduced terms on new contracts if you want to talk about contracts extensions. Go down here. Technically, Bruno's getting into his prime. Yeah, he's 27 coming here. Pascal saying Bruno Fernandes, when he gets back on form, will get back on form when Ronaldo goes. They're not linked at all. Leslie's talking about Bruno's whining in the comments, saying that he's improved. There's aspects to that's a culture thing. It comes from Portuguese football, in my opinion, anyway. You might disagree with me there. But it's like it happens more in European leagues than it does here. And when those players come over here, they do it more. I wish he didn't have that part of his game. Am I going to slate him for it? No. But it does annoy me. I'll be completely honest. It does annoy me, especially when you see a player sitting down, hands in the air, instead of just getting back on his feet. That's what I mean. He's a very emotional player, which, as I said, can work as a benefit, but also can work against you. And it's just that I think Bruno's let his emotions get the better of him in the last 2 to 3 months, where they become a bit of a hindrance to his game, and they've started to block him making the right decisions. Because emotionally, he's like, quick, just trying to get down the pitch as soon as possible. 40-yard Hail Mary pass, when there was a simple 10-yard square pass that might have brought the play forward a little bit more. Probably comes down to a bit of coaching. I would say it definitely comes down to a bit of coaching. For Ten Hag or Poch, I would say Ten Hag to come in and sort of teach Bruno that you don't have to do that, man. And maybe it's because he doesn't have the quality of the players around him, so he gets frustrated because there's no one there. Let's be honest, there really is no one in there that can do it like Bruno does it. Maybe that annoys him. And you're saying it's a winning thing, Sam. If we're playing well and winning games, we just don't see that side of him. He's frustrated. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When he's frustrated and the emotions get the better of him, of course it's a winning thing. And everybody, it's everything's easy when you're winning. When you're not winning, you get frustrated. Your hands go up in the air. And United have had a lot of frustration. Saw Bruno after the Europa League final. I find it genuinely crazy that people they want to slag off Bruno. Like they really, really want to slag off Bruno. that it's weird. It's weird that there's so many other players that you can slam ahead of Bruno. I don't know. Ninja, what are you saying here, sir? Saying just think about the days when United let players like Keno go and he was a beast, yet Fergie made that decision. Ralph couldn't even get rid of Lingard. It's a joke. Now you're preaching to the choir there again. That's one of my favourite sayings, apparently. You're completely spot on, man. Keane, Stam, Beckham, Van Nistelrooy, that man there. 4 players who always stand out to me as 4 players who left Manchester United when they didn't have to leave Manchester United, but they left Manchester United because of Sir Alex Ferguson. He fell out with them. He was bigger than the player. Out you go. Lingard's situation was weird. He had agreed. Remember that? Oh, man. Kind of bringing up bad memories now. I've sort of banked all this already. Not banked, parked. Definitely don't bank it. He came out and said that Lingard was refusing to train. Lingard came out and disagreed with it in public. Martial did the same thing. Then it transpired that Lingard was speaking to John Murtough and Lingard was speaking to Ranić, and there was mixed signals and everything. And Lingard was given the blessing to leave, and then he didn't leave. Obviously, it's different because back in Fergie's time, Fergie had the autonomy. He was the voice. He was the only voice. And it's different now, right? Football clubs operate differently. But at the same time, a manager should be given more power, shouldn't he? We know that. We absolutely know that. Jibak, you're saying, I think this is an astute decision. Both Shaw and Marcus have contracts till 23. By the time the new manager takes call, they may have decided to leave. And that's what I mean about protecting the value of the asset. That's what Manchester United are doing here with Rashford and Shaw. It's got absolutely nothing to do with their footballing ability. I mean, quite literally 0% to do with their footballing ability. It's more the fact that Manchester United don't want to lose Rashford and Shaw for free. But then you're going to be renewing players' contracts simply from a business perspective. And that is a mentality which has hurt Manchester United a lot. Josh, you're saying, I don't think that Jesse staying is down to Ralph. I don't think so either. I think it's down to the club. Let's go down here and see what Bruno is always complaining. It's not normal in Portugal. It isn't normal in the UK. It's the only thing Bruno should improve. Now, there's plenty of things that Bruno can improve. And whining is not the thing I would put first on that list in any way, shape, or form. Fuck it, man. Whine all you want. If you can produce the amount of goals and assists you do, then whine all you want, sir. I do not give a crap about that. But if you can improve your decision making and improve taking passes at the right times, I'd much rather you do that than not throwing your hands in the air and whining. It's just part of his game. It's part of Di Maria's game. It's part of certain players' games. Ronaldo, he got that out of his system. He got that out of his game. I think it's come back a little bit recently, actually, with the frustration. But Ronaldo used to be that player. He cut that out of his system when he went to Real Madrid and became the greatest goal scorer of all time. I don't think Bruno Fernandes is going to become the greatest midfielder of all time if he cuts that out of his game. And of course, he could cut that out of his game. But I think that could be coached out. I think that will be coached out. I think if he comes in with Ten Hag, I think it would that massively improve. What do I think of Van Gaal's comments? Jamie, we spoke about them earlier. I think Van Gaal is A, spot on. And B, also, I don't particularly think that it's going to affect Ten Hag too much. That's my opinion. I don't really think it's going to influence anything to do with whether or not he takes the job at Manchester United. But it'll be interesting to see in the next 24 hours today. Let's see how the story changes. Are there going to be people waxing lyrical about Poch and how his interview went so positively? Or is it going to be a bit more muted? Let's find out. The Glazers are better off running a car dealership. That's how they run United, says Richard. Again, mate, you're right there, mate. I can't disagree. I'm not going to do any sort of positive spin on the Glazers, am I? I'm one of the biggest vocal. What was the word? Dissidents. Dissidents, the wrong word. It means I supported them at one point. I fucking hate the Glazers in every single sense of the word. And until they leave Manchester United, I will always push propaganda towards the anti-Glazer movement. I will do it constantly. I will do it all the time, and I always do it. Warren, you're saying Erik Ten Hag will be able to handle the rebuild if Shaw or Rashford both leave on a free. Ten Hag is a no-brainer. I tend to agree with you, but I'll tell you what, it's pretty embarrassing for Manchester United that we lost Paul Pogba once on a free. let alone twice on a free. And it's poor from football clubs when they do let players' contracts run down. So I understand that. It's just the timing's not particularly correct. When we can't even negotiate a new manager, that we're talking about contract extensions for 2 players who have been bang out of form this season, just doesn't sit right with me. Just doesn't sit right with me. No F word, please. Everyone, control your emotions. Sometimes I swear, but I control myself. Sometimes I control myself. Sometimes I fucking don't. That's just the bottom line. It's my channel, so I will swear, everyone. I don't swear too often. I apologize about that. That was a joke. But look, I'm Chris Rock. Don't smack me in the face. Although Will Smith apologized, so it's all done now. If Ten Hag's appointed, says Aaron Moore, who would be his best suited assistant? Ruud van Persie or Stam. Ruud, it looks like he's going to become PSV manager. Van Persie, has he done much coaching? I don't know whether he's done much coaching. I imagine he'd be quite inspirational. Stam, obviously, he's been around the block. He's done a bit of Reading, and I think he's done a couple of stints out in Holland, and he would obviously get the players' discipline in order. I don't really know. I think René Meulenstein is somebody who should be part of that conversation. We talked about that before. But was it Mitchell van der Gaag is his assistant at Ajax, and apparently he might be coming in. But of course, you can have 2 assistants, like a couple of Manchester United managers have had. Stam, says Carl. Dave, you say Stam as well. Blessed, you're saying RVP. Hey, look. Let's wrap it up, eh? Let's not wrap it up. Anybody got any more questions? I'll give you another 3 minutes to fire in any more questions into the comments below, and I will answer them as much as possible. But look, I apologize about the power cut there. I don't know whether that was a power cut, whether my laptop just decided to go boom. And there's no reason. I swear to God, this is a new MacBook. Very, very decent MacBook. And for some reason, I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea who Pedro Goncalves is. Unfortunately, Ben, so I can't really give an opinion on that. Antony, you're saying, I truly and honestly do not believe the Glazers want us to rebuild. How will that affect their profit margins? That's our only concern. We all know that. I would slightly disagree with that now. And because if you look at the stagnation of Manchester United's commercial revenues from the last 5 years, we were year on year, we were getting sustained and massive growth. But from about 2017-ish, flatline completely. The revenues are not going up anymore. And that, therefore, is affecting the profit margins. And that, therefore, is directly affected by the football on the pitch. And that, therefore, in my opinion, affects the rebuild. I don't think they want to rebuild, I don't think they give a crap about winning the Premier League. I genuinely don't. But it can't go on much longer. It's really starting to affect their outputs. What 2 players could we realistically get to fit Ten Hag's style? Damn it, I haven't even had the conversation about Antony. Had that all set up. Antony, obviously the right winger from Ajax. I might do a video on him later today. I might do it tomorrow. I'll do it at some point. But Antony, 22, I think, Brazilian winger that was brought in from Sao Paulo by Ten Hag, I believe in 2021. Or was it in 2020? One of the 2. And he's gone on to shine. A proper, genuine right winger. Yeah, look. Sorry, Paula. Let me bring it up here. How annoying. This is what happens when all your windows close that you had ready for the live stream because your computer decides to turn off. Although I suppose it's better than a doorbell constantly going. That's never happened since. Oh dear, just tempted fate there, didn't I? Absolutely just tempted fate. No doubt the doorbell's going to ring tomorrow. But yeah, Antony. Was I right? Did he go in 2022? But look, 23 appearances, 8 goals and 4 assists from the right wing. And he is a true, proper right winger. And I tell you what, he's pretty exciting. If I've not watched that much of Ajax this year, and I'm not gonna go here and say, look, Ajax, I've been watching him every single week. I know exactly how Antony plays every single game, but he looks very exciting. And according to James Ducker from The Telegraph, he is a person that Ten Hag would love to bring to Manchester United from Ajax, maybe as his first signing. Because he's going to need people to... The more supporters Ten Hag has inside that squad for his own identity and what he's trying to put into the team, the quicker that identity will go and sort of embed itself into the team. So Donny van der Beek, in my opinion, is going to be playing an important role. Paul Pogba is going to be leaving. I think Donny van der Beek is going to therefore take the minutes that Paul Pogba has. Therefore, Van der Beek is going to get plenty of football for United. He played as that number 10 that operated between the midfield and the attack for Ten Hag in that system in 2018-19. That number 10 that is so crucial because there's so much space there. You have to cover so much space. But that's why he was on the edge of the box so often, because you've got the width, then you've got the striker that he supports. That number 10 is crucial. I think that Donny van de Beek is going to be crucial there. And Antony, if you're looking at proper wingers, you therefore got Antony on the right-hand side and Sancho on the left-hand side. Nice. Very, very nice indeed. Yeah, Sancho will probably play more on the left. Do you not find it hilarious that we spent 2 years chasing Sancho thinking, oh, man, I can't wait to see him play on the right wing. And then he hardly plays there. I find that quite hilarious. Let's go down here. Bruno as a false 9 and Donny van de Beek as a 10. Bruno's been tried as a false 9 once. I really, really thought that he would be an excellent number 9 for Manchester United, but it didn't work in that game that it was tried. Was it City? I think it was City because we didn't have Ronaldo. I think Mazraoui's out of contract next summer. Ten Hag could bring him in. Obviously, the right back, the Moroccan right back, came through the academy system at Ajax. He's been excellent. Just like, who else is that? Gravenberch, who looks like he's going to be on his way to Bayern Munich. I think it's Timber. Is it Jurgen Timber? The other one alongside Martinez, who plays as centre-backs. Look at that knowledge. Shame I can't have a computer that stays on. Let's have a look. Man United cannot interview Poch while he's employed. What did happen? His representative had a meeting. Okay. Poch can be absolutely interviewed when he's employed if PSG give it his blessing. And as I told you before, John, I told everybody, PSG will have to pay 15 to 20 million pounds to sack Poch in the summer. And they're going to do that unless somebody comes in and tries to take him as their manager. Who could that possibly be? Manchester United. PSG will absolutely want that to go through. Will absolutely do. They'll lay the red carpet out. They'll pay for United's jet to fly out to Paris and put them up in a hotel for a night just to speak to Poch. That's how much I think PSG want Poch to speak to us. Jeff Evans, what's your thoughts on our young Argentine striker? Do you mean Facundo Pellistri? I'm presuming you mean Facundo. Hey, look, he's broken through into that Uruguay senior team pretty early. Gone on a couple of loan spells. Remember how impressive Pellistri was in our preseason? We were like, yeah, he looked. It was Pellistri and Elanga during our preseason this year that we all got excited about. Obviously, Elanga's gone on to break into our first team. Pellistri was sent back out on loan. But let's see what goes on when he comes back. Hey, look, let's wrap it up now. I really apologize about the power going off there. I need to figure out why it's doing that. Power's here, plugged in, working absolutely fine now. There must have been some sort of fatal error there. I got an error message. I'll try and find out what the error message is, and I'll try and get it sorted for next time. But look, thank you very much, everybody, for joining in. Please, if you would consider, drop a like on the video. Oh, you mean Garnacho? Alejandro Garnacho. I don't think he's not really a striker, mate. He's more of an attacker, kind of on a wing, of more like a number 10 rather than a striker. He's exciting, but he's only just broken through to under 23, so I don't think we're going to see him too much. Sorry, I forgot the Pellistri's Uruguayan. But look, thank you very much, everybody, for joining in. I apologize for the Kremlin hacking into my computer. I'll try and get that fixed and sorted. Thank you very much. Just drop a like on the video. I'm repeating myself. I'll be back a little bit later on today. I'm either going to do a reaction to Rooney's interview. We'll look at all the quotes he says, because there's so many important things that he says there that I think we need to talk about. Or I'm going to talk about Antony to Man United. I think I might hold back on the Antony one until we'll know a little bit more about Ten Hag. So check out that Rooney video later on. Thank you very much for joining in.